What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We are back here for another one. Obviously, we want to still do a post-game show, and tonight we're going to go over that. We're going to go look at some PFF grades. We are going to look at some next-gen stats, and we are obviously going to look at the snap counts, do the damn thing. We're going to talk about the game. I'm going to give my weekly state of the address to Dolphin Nation. And I mean, this week, no better week to really give it than this week with everything that's going down right now. When you're watching this, I hope you're having a good day. I hope life is treating you well. And hey, I know it's tough being a Dolphins fan right now, but only way from here is up. I mean, can it get any worse? I mean, I guess it actually can get worse because the Miami Dolphins could, I don't know, go ahead and lose to the Texans this weekend. As some of you know, obviously, I'm not going to be at the game this weekend because I had a personal matter come up. Then my family got sick, so we're rescheduling our trip. More likely going to be aiming for being down there in Orlando and then seeing possibly the Jets game. It's all going to depend on how the next couple weeks go, really. But that's the plan right now. So, but anyways, I guess that's how it could get worse is they go lose to the Houston Texans. I mean, if you're going to lose to, I mean, let's not even go there right now. And obviously, the talk with everyone is Deshaun Watson and the Miami Dolphins right now. Listen, I guess we'll start my weekly state of the address right here, right now. Okay, so this is how I view this whole thing. Listen, everyone, I've already established that I believe there's no going back from the rift that's obviously been created for Tua Tagovailoa. I've actually been saying for quite some time, I think this is going to turn into an Alex Smith situation, even before it got to the levels it's recently got to. I still believe that. People got to realize I don't like, yes, I have a great evaluation of Tua coming out of Alabama, but my evaluation at the NFL level is still inconclusive because I've only seen him play in 14 and really play through 12 of those games. So my evaluation is inconclusive. I think, he's flashed. He's shown consistency issues though as well. He's got to put those flashes together, be more consistent on the field. The Buffalo Bills game was just another instance of that. I mean, we all know how good that defense is. There's no doubt about that. But we all knew the only chance we had of winning that game was basically Tua, playing well and our defense finding, going back and finding its old self. Well, its defense did the job for the most part. Again, when we had to play complementary football in the fourth quarter, the defense didn't really hold. But I mean, the defense did its job and held this Buffalo Bills team down. So they are the last unit I would blame with the outcome of Sunday. I think, I've said it live. I think Tua was a C minus. I don't think Tua was anything to write home about. I wasn't overly impressed with him. That's just that's just how I see it. But I'm also like realizing, the actual context of the situation. Because I know that this defense is really good this year. I know they're not a bunch of jabronis. As some people would like you to believe. To be objective is to realize when your enemies are doing really well too, and the Buffalo defense is really good. But anyways, I digress. This whole situation with Deshaun Watson not coming here, in the end, and everything that's been talked about has just been a mess. Then obviously I talked about it earlier tonight when I did the Deshaun Watson video. You know, we look like the scumbags in terms of forcing Watson to settle when he didn't even really want to because he believes he's innocent, forcing a non-disclosure agreement on him. Stephen Ross requesting to talk directly to Sean Watson. And I get it. He's doing his homework. Okay. I get that. I'm not going to knock him for that, but it's got even worse and worse here. Um, I just, it's not a good situation. Why would you even want to be involved with this team at this point if you're Tua? Now I know he's a professional. I know Gallo's gonna say, keep your head up and go to work. Just work. Don't worry about what's going on. We'll figure out the situation because let's be honest, in the long term, it's a reality I've told all of you I've already come to terms with when I was told by reliable people that a deal was done and Watson was going to be here before. I've dealt. I've come to the reality that he's not going to be here. That he's not going to be Tua is not going to be here for the next 5 years. Like even you've heard when I've said cleaning house, I said maybe he might get a year, but because of the draft class coming up. But I'm okay with what the new front office wants to do. I just blow it all up basically in terms of the front office, not the personnel and stuff. I still think we have a lot of good players on this team. But anyways, I've already come to grips with it. I've said he's not going to be successful here. Under this regime, he's not going to be successful. This is going to come down to him or this regime. And the reality is because of the situation around him, the distractions, the terrible offensive line, the growing pains, his own bad mistakes with bad interceptions at terrible times, Tua hasn't grown at the accelerated rate they clearly wanted him or anyone they drafted to be at. I mean, there is definitely no denying that at this point. You know, you just, they clearly time was not on Tua's side from the moment they drafted him. And really, maybe it might not have been on Burrows behind this offensive line. Maybe because of his physical traits and his arm, Herbert might have been the only one to actually, make it through the fire. But then again, you look at Herbert over the last 3 weeks, Herbert hasn't been good. If the Dolphins would have got that, hey, and he wouldn't have run the Rookie of the Year because he would have missed the 6 games that Fitzpatrick started. And to win Rookie of the Year, he would have had to beat out the feats that Justin Jefferson was doing. And he needed those rookie records, and he wouldn't have been given the time to win those rookie records. And because of the situations we are in, he was not going to be throwing 40, 50 times a game last year because even Tua wasn't. This year, it's like, it's the Bills game. It's week 17. It's just throw 40, 50 times and let her rip and see what we get out of this. It's unbelievable where this is at. But right now, when you actually, like, I know this is a state of the Dolphins address. When you look at the state of the Dolphins right now, has anyone remembered this team being in anything remotely close to this utter of a mess? Like, I don't remember the 1-15 season being this ugly in terms of distractions, in terms of how our front office has handled trade speculations, players on the roster. And I say players because it's not just Tua. You got Xavier Howard as well in the offseason. Now you can judge him on his play right now. Hindsight is everything, especially in this fan base. But a lot of us were screaming, me included, for him to be paid. I don't have any regrets. I mean, the guy had a game-sealing fumble in our only win, and he has 2 interceptions to go along with that, I believe, right now. He has 3 total turnovers. So, and he's missed a week because he's been playing through an injury. So I'm not going to sit there and it's just everyone's expectations. I warned everyone, and I warned myself in a sense that expectations have arrived. And the problem is, the reality is, expectations have not been met. And, you know, you look at, a lot of people have been questioning whether Tua can throw the deep ball. That's the new narrative right now. I mean, you go look at the deep ball he threw at Alabama. That just does not go away. He's always been able to throw it. Now, has the hip injury complicated things in terms of where he's at physically? I mean, I'm not a doctor, maybe. Has the offensive line not holding their blocks, allowing long routes to develop? Because, I mean, guys run Water runs a 4.27, 40-yard dash. I mean, that's on a straight line. That's not being jammed at the line. That's not any of, that's not running a route. That's none of that nuanced stuff. So, I mean, you're going to need time for guys to get to, but you look at how the offense is being called. The offense is being called quick and conservative with not, even when Brissett was in there. It's not like they were consistently challenging the top of the defense. It's even with Brissett, they were trying to get the ball out quick. They just, by Brissett's last start, took out the RPO stuff because me, Ballgame, and Martin have showed you Brissett is not very good in the RPO. He's not a good, quick decision maker. So they took it out. Tua, though, that's one of his strengths. So they've continued doing a lot of short concepts and then instilling the RPO, which an RPO only has one or two reads anyways. So, I mean, that's just the nature of how this offense is being built right now. I mean, whether it's coaching ineptitude, whether it's a lack of confidence or trust in, I don't know. I don't buy into the lack of confidence or trust in Tua ability in terms of that's why they're going short. I buy more into the offensive line and where it's at. And the reason why is because why weren't they consistently going deep with Brissett? Why was Brissett running a lot of short stuff too? The only time you ever found him really going deep was if he overextended something and he gave them time to run, but run down the field. But even that didn't happen very, very often. So, it's you got a lot of short stuff right now, and Tua is showing ability to get out of the pocket and showing the wiggle they told us he all didn't have. So it's not like he hasn't been extending plays. I don't know. I think right now for Flores to save his job long term, and if they, because we all know how this is going to end. I mean, some team is going to swoop in and get Watson because they didn't get this done, and in the midst they're going to ruin their relationship with Tua. But if somehow, if you get Watson, or if you stick with Tua in the long term, which I don't see this regime doing with how they've handled this so far, just if Brian Flores is sticking around, you need to hand the offense over to an experienced person. Wash his hands with it. Focus on the defense with Boyer. Build the offense in the vision of the offensive coordinator. Now, that comes down to getting the right hire. And I've heard things about, coaches not wanting to be here. And it's not player, like when Matt Canada didn't come here. When that quarterback coach in San Francisco, Tony Elliott, the offensive coordinator in Clemson, I heard it was more organizational. It wasn't so much players on the offensive side of the football. So people trying to sell, they didn't want to come to Tua. That's not what I heard. And I've heard it from multiple people, actually. And I've actually seen people also, like I believe, I want to say Omar Kelly or someone like that hinted to it publicly too. So it's a deep-rooted issue right now. So, this is why I'm saying, like, Greer, if it was my way, Greer and Flores are gone. Rebuild the front office. Go hire someone respectable in this league. Stop screwing around. You got Omar Khan with Pittsburgh. You got Ed Dodds from Indianapolis. There's a lot of people around the league. The executives that with a good scouting and actual proven drafting and scouting record. Go get one of those guys that come from a solid line and then he chooses his head coach, and it's up to him and his head coach on what happens with Tua and essentially the whole offense and everything. Personally, the ideas that I've like floated out there, if you're going to go with first-time head coaches, obviously Brian Dabble with bringing Ken Dorsey with his bringing Ken Dorsey as his offensive coordinator. Love that idea. Bieniemy bringing Kafka as his offensive coordinator. Cool. I like a really good one of Joe Lombardi, the offensive coordinator in San Diego, who was the quarterback coach with Drew Brees for about 4 years before that. I love that. Pep Hamilton. I'm a believer in Pep Hamilton. Everyone knows that. Wink Martindale coming over with Greg Roman. There's a lot of options. If you're going to go collegiate level, obviously the Harbaugh connection. Obviously, Lincoln Riley. But personally, where I'm at with this right now is I think it's deeper than a player issue right now. I think, I'm fine with them getting Watson. And I've said as long as, I'm kind of getting what I'm asking for, because I said when this all started, if you can get him without overpaying, do it. And clearly they haven't, not only is the legality clarity not there for them right now and the clarity with the league, but they did not agree fully on compensation from what I understand. And so, and from what I also understand, the reason why is because, they're coming in much lower than what the deal was agreed upon before the allegations hit between this team and the Houston Texans. They're coming in lower because now of what's going on. So they're bending. I mean, they're not giving in right now to the Houston Texans' demands. And so I'm getting what I asked for. I said, hey, if you're going to upgrade, I get it. It's an upgrade, but just don't sell the farm and, get him at a good price. And it seems they're trying to get him at a good price right now. Now, albeit now that we're waiting for the offseason, hell, that price could be through the roof if these legalities get cleared up. But what works in the Dolphins' favor, and obviously why they're showing arrogance in the situation, is because Watson has only waived to Miami since Philly and Carolina and all these teams backed out. But I know for a fact he personally rejected Philadelphia. They had a deal in place months ago. So I know he personally rejected it, which tells you something, because Philly went hard, sent investigators, did a lot of homework. So it obviously tells you that there's some level of comfortability with making a move for him, but obviously it was not enough for the Dolphins to make a move. But in all of this, they've just, with them pushing Watson to settle and then lowering the number when they couldn't get 22 on what would be acceptable to them, and then turning around and now wanting Watson to force a quote-unquote robust NDA when Watson wanted all the knowledge made public if he settled because he believes in his innocence. You know what I mean? So you got a guy going against his own fundamental beliefs in this situation. And first of all, whoever's surrounding Deshaun Watson, for you to allow him to get into this situation, number one, you should be fired. Number two, for not getting Watson in motion to get this stuff handled. Why would you wait to the 11th hour to settle? Just settle in the offseason. You could have already been in aqua and orange if that's your true desire. So I don't know. It's just this whole big clown show, whole big mess. We come out, we look so silly right now. And you know what? The Houston Texans are just sitting back watching this. All the distractions are continuing. And what's crazy is I want to watch my team win. I don't care who the quarterback is. I want to watch you guys saw my live reactions when Jacoby Brissett was here. I was cheering when we made it close. I don't care. I want to watch win. We're all Dolphin fans in the end here. And now, because of all this circus and this clown show and these distractions, how can I expect everyone to be, not just Tua, how can I expect everyone to be 110% focused on this right now? And hell, if you're so hell-bent on upgrading Tua, why aren't you hell-bent on upgrading left guard? Why aren't you hell-bent on upgrading right tackle? Why aren't you hell-bent on upgrading left tackle? Why aren't you hell-bent on upgrading your run game and actually committing to it consistently? Why aren't you committed to upgrading your linebacking core in that second level to make your run defense even more stout? Why? A quarterback is not going to fix all those things. Even if Dan Marino went back to the age of 23, came out of retirement, and played for us, he's not going to fix all of that stuff. Come on, man. Bigger picture here. Looking at one position with what's going on right now is so narrow-minded. And the coaching staff, they're just as inexperienced and bad as guys like Austin Jackson. Lemuel Jean-Pierre should not be here. Josh Grizzard, the wide receiver coach, should not be here. He should be fired for how he's allowed them to use Jalen Waddle. Whoever the hell our linebackers coach is, who will get him out of town too. Whoever the defensive line coach is deserves a pat on the back because the defensive line has looked really good. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. You know, you guys have heard me Tua with the rose and the concrete thing. It's because, listen, when you actually sit here and think about it, people, go back. You got to take the 2021 draft out of it because these guys, you know, they haven't, you know, they've only played 8 games in the NFL right now. And, you know, we're the second year for the 2020 class, the third year for the 2019 class, right? When Flores arrived. Only Wilkins and Tua look like the guys who are making progress of any sort. Robert Hunt, too. You know? But Robert Hunt is struggling at times a bit because he's learning a new position. But those are the only guys. Dieter, Has anyone really noticed the difference between Dieter and Mance? I didn't. Solomon Kinley, bench. Austin Jackson, giving... People think we're making excuses for Tua. Look at the excuses that must be being made right now by this coaching staff for Austin Jackson. How the hell else are they selling to Ross and Greer that he's still on the fucking field right now? Okay? This guy regressed. Jesse Davis. I mean, he's just Jesse Davis. The fact that they even trust him, my God. I mean, who's really, Brandon Jones? Does he really look that stellar? Raekwon Davis, since he's come back the injury, was not the impact player he was last year in the last half of the season, especially. Like, I don't know what to tell you here. This isn't one person. It really looks like only your strongest progression guys this year are Wilkins. Like, look at AVG. They drafted him. He looks like he's massively regressed. Like, I mean, and I'm only sticking to their draft picks, okay? Like, so, because I'm not mentioning a lot more because they're not on the team. So, I mean, Malcolm Perry, not even on the team. Draft pick last year. So, I mean, you look at it right now, Wilkins and Tua and Robert Hunt are the only ones really giving them consistent return. And Gaskin, and he was a 7th round pick, really giving them consistent return. And Tua, he's giving them a return, but it's actually not as consistent as we'd all like it to be right now. But again, the guy's only 14 games, 12 games in. Like, here's my thing. Tua got benched twice last year. Why is that same energy not being kept for Austin Jackson? I've never said cut him. I've said he's eventually going to be the guy someone trades a 7th round pick for, like what we did for Greg Little. But I've never said cut him or get rid of him. I've asked why he's still on the team because he's bad. Like that's, Noah Benogany. Regression. At least last year he was active. Now he's not even active. I mean, what's there to say right now? Of course they want Deshaun Watson. They can't grow and develop their own players at a consistent and at a high rate. And they can't reach ceilings. That's it. Don't know what to tell you. And now we are in the situation we are in. It is an absolute mess, and all I want to do is see us win on Sundays. Like, I just want to win. Like, we've been through enough. And somehow Stephen Ross and this regime has found a new way to embarrass us and make it even worse. And it's gone bigger than Watson. Like, the ineptitude is just mind-boggling that this team has. And it's going all the way to the top. So, I mean, right now you look at the state of this team, guys, I just, I want to continue to see growth and development from all our young players moving forward. That's the only thing left to watch, especially this year's draft class. I think Holland and Phillips are going to be studs. I think Waddle will be too when they learn how to use them. That might take a new regime. But I mean, you look at all this, guys. I personally, I was looking forward to the growth and development, but now I look at, this team. They're so idiotic. They're killing the value of Tua if they're ever gonna if and when they have to trade him to either make room for Watson or because he doesn't want to be here, or they don't want him. Take one of your pick. So because I mean the regime has clearly shown the route. I know Flores said what he said today, but I ain't buying that. That came out right as everyone was basically saying they were 110% out at like 20 after 2 today. And then like 5 minutes later, Brian Flores says Tua can take him. Come on, bro. Take him to a championship caliber team. Give me a break. Come on. Not going to polish a turd and sell it to me and try to sell it to me as a piece of gold, bro. So it is what it is. Let's just keep watching the pain. It will ensue. Guys, smash that like button. If you'd like to donate, paypal.me/Phinside. Shout out to all my Patreons, all my YouTube members. Become a Patreon, patreon.com/Phinside the NFL. Hit the join button to become a YouTube member. It's right next to the subscribe button. And obviously, patchvibes.com. Use code Phinside to save 20% off your order. Backroomcollection.net. Use code Reason to save 10% off your order. And thrivefantasy.com. Use code Phinside to have every dollar up to your first 100 deposited matched by thrivefantasy.com. Your number one in fantasy prop betting. All right, now let's get into the review of the game. Just not a great one. Not a great one. I mean, you look at it, we went from back-to-back weeks of 400 plus yards. I know people are trying to sell everyone that, hey, that Falcons defense was trash. Well, they're the 12th best against the pass, and Tua dropped them down to 20. Now, the Buffalo Bills entering play were number 1 against the pass. And, you look at how quarterbacks have performed against the Bills this season, and Tua, well, he was not much different than that. He only, Tua, he struggled a little bit out there. That's for sure. He was in total 21 of 39, 205 yards, and an interception. Of course, can't forget that, but he did add a rushing touchdown. Josh Allen was mediocre. He was 29 of 42 for 249, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But he got better as the game went on. What's crazy is Tua had a 67.8 QBR, but a 58.2 passer rating. Josh Allen had a 45.1 QBR, but 100.2 passer rating. So kind of crazy. When you actually look at it, but let's look at this for a second. When you look at how quarterbacks have performed against, in terms of just passing against the Buffalo Bills this season, it kind of tells a tale of a really good passing defense. And let's be honest, one of the main reasons why they are 5-2 right now. I mean, so you go back to week 1 against the Steelers, I know they lost that game, but Ben Roethlisberger was 18 of 32 for 188 yards and a passing touchdown. Then you look at week 2 against us. They took Tua out, right? Not too long into the game. He was only 1 of 4 for 13 yards. But Brissett was 24 of 40 for 169 and 1 interception. So far worse than what Tua was. People just forget. Short-term memory loss, I guess. You look at when Washington played them, Heineke, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 14 of 24. You look at when they played the Texans, who we're playing this week, Davis Mills was 11 of 21 for 87 yards and 4 interceptions against them. And you remember, he played really well against the New England Patriots defense. You look at them against the Chiefs. I mean, they shut down Patrick Mahomes, 33 of 54 for 272 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And then obviously you look at former Dolphin quarterback Ryan Tannehill, 216 yards, an interception, 18 of 29. So, and the Bills lost that game. The Titans put up 34 points, off the back of, 3 rushing touchdowns from Derrick Henry, and they didn't really rely, a ton. Tannehill rushed for one like Tua did, but they didn't rely on Tannehill to break the game open. And that's a guy who, Tua already looks like he's he's playing. If you go by just the statistics, he's playing at the level Tannehill was playing at against this team. And Tannehill's in what, year 9? So, I mean, let's pump the brakes here a little bit. He's a really good defense, but yeah, I mean, it's not going to get, he didn't do himself any favors, though. Everyone wanted 300. I thought he'd flirt with 300 yards, but everyone wanted 350, 4 touchdowns, and a win, but overall, as an offense, we struggled on 3rd down, 4 of 14. They didn't. They were 6 of 13, so just under 50%. We went from putting up over 400 yards back-to-back weeks, only 262 yards, but we held them to under 400 yards. We held them to 351. We barely lost the possession game. We obviously lost a turnover game with the fumble and the interception. But again, undisciplined penalties, 9 penalties for 58 yards against. You look at how good the Bills were in the red zone. They were 3 of 4. It just was a recipe for disaster against the Buffalo Bills. And, our team didn't do us any favors. But let's get into the snap counts. So looking at the snap counts here for all of y'all. So let's start with the offense. Would you look at offensively, Parker, he took away snaps from Mac Hollins clearly. When you look at, Parker and his usage, and, I wish they would have used them more in the second half. But anyways, Gaskin clearly leading the way out of the running back room, but they found usage for Patrick Laird, 10 snaps, a lot of snaps again to go around the tight end room. Between them, Gesicki 97% of the snaps, Shaheen 59%, Smythe 42%. That's because they ran a lot of 12-man personnel. So you look at that, Albert Wilson again, small limited snaps, not really a factor. All right. So now when you go over and you look at the defensive side, and how those snaps were allocated, this is the story it tells, my friends. Now, when you look at this, obviously at the top there, Javon Holland, 100% of the snaps. He's playing those big boy minutes. Duke Riley, he ate up a lot of those snaps, 92% of the snaps. He had a lot of those Jerome Baker snaps with Baker out. Seiler and Scarlett, they didn't really have big days. Either did Sam Guavin. Justin Coleman, obviously, in more of a limited role now that Byron and X are back in. Not a huge snap count for Raekwon Davis by any stretch of the imagination. Any stretch of the imagination. Jalen Phillips had one of his highest snap counts of the year, 84% of the snap count. But yeah, Duke Riley clearly filling in and eating up a lot of those Jerome Baker snap counts. All right, let's get into let's get into the passing charts from Sunday. I can't wait to break down the all 22. They're going to really tell me what went down. But first of all, starting with Josh Allen, you look at Josh Allen, 29 to 42 for 249. He didn't really push the ball overly past the 10-yard line. And when he did, he was fairly accurate. I mean, he was 6 of 10. Sorry, I apologize. 8 of 12. I apologize. He was 8 of 12 and 2 touchdowns. Obviously, they were both within 15 yards, but they were both past 10 yards. So a lot of stuff behind the line of scrimmage for Josh Allen too. But you look at how he was, obviously, pretty respectable stuff. 8 for 12 beyond the 10-yard line. Josh Allen, he got held down though. Like you see that he was taking what the defense was giving him, and you really saw that in the second half, and that's why you see a lot of green. So it happens even to the big arm guys like Josh Allen, right? When you look at how Tua Tagovailoa's passing chart rolled out, this is what it looked like. He had his interception, past 10 yards, but he was not very good at all beyond 10 yards. As you look at it, obviously, he had that long reception to Gesicki, but other than that, it was a rough day beyond 10 yards for Tua Tagovailoa. He was 4 for 11 beyond 10 yards. Not very good. He was 21 of 39, 205, 1 interception. Not a very strong day from Tua Tagovailoa, and anyone trying to sell you that he had a good game is lying to themselves. Again, C-, might even stretch it to a D+. Wasn't that great of a game for the whole offense in total. So that's how that works out. And then when we go ahead and we take a look at how the next gen stats for the game on Sunday all worked out, this is what we get. So longest completed air distance was 35 yards by Tua Tagovailoa. Josh Allen, 29.8. Mike Gesicki was the fastest ball carrier for the Dolphins at 17.82. Isaiah McKenzie, 21.03 miles per hour, reached the top sack. The Dolphins did not record a sack, but they did, and they sacked Tua in 2.7 seconds, so under 3 seconds. And then this is how their passing charts went out. You look at Tua, 1 for 1, 40 yards, then 0 for 1 over the middle, beyond 20 for an interception, and then to the left side, 0 for 1. Then he was 1, when you're looking from between the 10 to the 20, he was 1 for 5. Not very good by any stretch of the imagination. And then you look at how he was. Obviously, he was efficient inside the 10-yard line. But you look at Josh Allen. I mean, he wasn't that great beyond the 20, but from the 10 to the 20, he was pretty good. At the intermediate level, he's very good. One pass away from perfect. But again, he took a lot of stuff in front of him, just like Tua did, because that's our between the zero blitz and our man coverage, we were squeezing him into that. You look at the rushing, Myles Gaskin, 12 carries for 36 yards. Obviously, found his most success between the A and the B gap on either side of the football, not really outside to the C gap. Josh Allen. But when you look at them kind of shut down in the run, love to see it. Love it, love it, love it. Devin Singletary had an okay day. Didn't really have a ton of attempts. You look at Ahmed. Ahmed found a lot of success running to that left side. So that's how the rushing and the yards by direction work out. You look at receiving. Now Jalen Waddle only averaged 1.39 yards per separation per route. Mike Gesicki 2.19, Parker 2, Mac Hollins under 1 yard, Shaheen 1.22 yards. So they were just, swallowed. I haven't seen Waddle that low all year, but you go look at them. Cole Beasley was open all day, 3.71 yards. Emmanuel Sanders 2.08, Gabriel Davis 4.91 yards, Sweeney 3.22 yards, and Stephon Diggs over 5 yards of separation. Unbelievable. Devontae Parker with 2.01 yards, 8 of 11 in terms of receptions and targets, 85 yards. Cole Beasley killed us, 10 receptions for 110 yards, one of the better slot guys in the game. You look at the defensive pass rush average separation from the QB. Jalen Phillips once again leads the team, only 4.55 yards. Wilkins in second, Butler in third, Ogba in fourth. Hughes was at 4.39 yards. Addison 4.39 yards. Oliver 4.57 yards, and Lutelli at 4.72 yards. So they were getting close to the quarterback consistently with their pass rush. And I've been telling you the reason why their defense is taking a step forward is because of their pass rush this year. That's why they're so good. Now when let's go hop in to the PFF grades. Let's take a look at the PFF grades. These are your PFF grades for Sunday. You look at the defensive grades. We'll start with here. Zach Seiler, 88.3. Brendan Scarlett, 87.7. Byron Jones, 75.5. Wilkins, 71.2. Javon Holland, 70.6. Your top five. Your bottom five: Coleman, Davis, Guavin, Andrew Van Ginkel, and Xavier Howard. But you look at 29.9 by Coleman, 32.5 by Davis. Oh my God, just ugly. Van Ginkel, 36.8. Howard, 43.3. Not very impressive by any stretch of the imagination. And since we are sticking with the defense, actually, before we go, look at the total pressures as a defense. We didn't create very much, only 16. Duke Riley led the way with 4 pressures. Brandon Jones and Landon Roberts each had 3. Phillips had 2, as did Van Ginkel. Javon Holland had 1, as did Emmanuel Ogba. So that's how the pressures worked out. And then you go and you look at the run stops. Christian Wilkins, Zach Seiler, Duke Riley, and Byron Jones all led the way. Wilkins was number 1 though with 4. The rest of them had 3, and then Butler, Brendan Scarlett added 2. So Christian Wilkins continues to be one of the leaders in run stops amongst defensive interior players. Absolutely love to see it. Now, would I like a more consistent pass rush threat from him? Sure. But Wilkins is having a pretty good year. He's doing it quietly. So I am super, super impressed with Christian Wilkins. I think he's been one of our better players this year for sure. But I mean, hey, when you look at him in terms of run stops across the league right now, Christian Wilkins, he got it. He's getting it done. He's leading the league right now. He's got 24 run stops, ladies and gentlemen, leading the league right now for y'all to see right here. There's Christian Wilkins at the top right there for you. He's got 24 run stops on the year. Absolutely Love to see it. Shout out to Christian Wilkins doing the damn thing. Absolutely love it. Okay, continuing on. Back to the grades for the Dolphins on Sunday. This is how it worked out. Let's go ahead and let's go look at the coverage versus receiving for the Dolphins. So you look at Xavier Howard. He's targeted 9 times. He allowed 6 receptions for 38 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did have a pass breakup. Not good in terms of the touchdowns. Nick Needham targeted 8 times, allowed 7 receptions for 94 yards, 5 first downs. Ouch. Byron Jones, he was targeted 7, allowed 4 receptions for 26 yards, and a pass breakup. He really held Emmanuel Sanders off really well. He did a damn good job. But you look at Cole Beasley, giving Needham the work, and it's just ouch. Brandon Jones is targeted 3 times, allowed 3 receptions for 30 yards and 2 firsts. Eric Rowe, Sweeney had an all right day. He had a couple big plays, but Eric Rowe targeted 3 times for 2 receptions, and a first down, 14 yards, not too bad. Justin Coleman, Beasley gave him the work, people. 2 for, he's targeted 3 times, allowed 3 receptions, 25 yards, and a first down. Javon Holland, Cole Beasley got a reception on him, 2 for 3 yards. And then they charged Emmanuel Ogba against Moss. Roberts against Moss. Duke Riley against Sanders held him receptionless. Guavin against Zach Moss. Moss was eaten against our linebackers whenever they targeted. Andrew Van Ginkel, though, held him to without a reception. So you look at Cole Beasley. I mean, no one had a good day against Cole Beasley right here when you look at this. The only Nick Needham forced an incompletion, but he still allowed 4 receptions for 66 yards. So tough day for the Dolphins secondary, which we already know is the heart and soul of this defense. All right, when you look at the offensive grades for the Dolphins, Devontae Parker, he led the way with a 74.7, Laird 70.6, Shaheen 70.1, Gaskin 68.7. The offense was so bad that 5th best was Salvin Ahmed with a 64.8, but there's Tua Tagovailoa 49.8. And if you go, we click here on Tua Tagovailoa. I believe that is the worst grade of his career. Oh, that is his 2020. You go look at 2020. Oh, sorry, the LA. It's the second worst grade of his career. LA was his worst grade of his career. So, not a good performance by Tua Tagovailoa, as we already stated earlier. But Jesse Davis and Austin Jackson were right there with him as usual. So was Eichenberg. Isaiah Ford and Mac Hollins weren't given respectable, very good grades either. Unlike the defense, they didn't have anyone in the 20s or the 30s, though. But they weren't that good. And then let's go look at the pass blocking grades, which is always fun. But there is going to be a big surprise this week for everyone. Guys, they allowed 19 pressures. But guess what? Austin Jackson is at the bottom. He did not allow a single pressure. Jesse Davis, though, allowed 8. Absolute disaster. Liam Eichenberg allowed 6. Absolute disaster. Reeder continues to allow pressures. Mike Gesicki and Gaskin, as well as Robert Hunt, all allowed 1 pressure each. So it is ugly in pass blocking land for the Miami Dolphins. I mean, I don't know what to say right now. It is not good. Austin Jackson is now number 2 in the NFL in pressures allowed because he didn't allow 1. Matt Nelson has 34. Austin Jackson's allowed 33. Jesse Davis, though, is now 5th in the NFL in pressures allowed. He has 29, And tied for 6th is Liam Eichenberg with 28 pressures. Eichenberg, Davis, and Austin Jackson all have allowed more pressures than Alex Leatherwood. So there you have it. We have 3 of the top 6 pressure allowed offensive linemen starting on this offensive line. 2 of them on the left side and 1 of them protecting the blind side. But the quarterback is obviously the issue, people. Don't let them tell you otherwise. Also, when we continue looking passing, let's look at this for a second. We've been looking over the last couple weeks, right? So when you look at this, when Tua was kept clean, he was 15 of 24 for 62.5% for 125 yards. When he was not blitzed, he was 15 of 24 for 173 yards on 27 dropbacks. And he had his interception. But he was also pressured on that play. You look at Tua, he was not very good against the blitz, which is not like him. He's usually very good against the blitz. But he only had 1 drop charge towards them. But you look at when he was kept clean, he wasn't as strong as how he's been. So that tells you right there that they were still giving him good coverage downfield, which you see by the separation, and I'm sure we'll see on the all 22. Now, when you look at the passing concepts, something I wanted to show you here, guys. He really struggled on non-play action stuff. So that was clearly evident by Tua Tagovailoa too. So that's why the running game matters, baby, for games like this. So those are your PFF grades for the Dolphins and the Bills game, and how your Dolphins graded out defensively and offensively. Obviously, not very much to write home about in regards to the game, in regards to how things worked out. It was just another painful Sunday to be a Dolphin fan. Listen, guys, you guys are going to be watching this Wednesday morning. Tonight, I will be going live with Mr. Ballgame as well as the homie Martin, and we will be breaking down the all 22 of every dropback of Tua Tagovailoa. I'm sure we'll have some other discussion too, but we'll be breaking down every Tua dropback tonight. And we'll be doing that around 9 o'clock or 9:30. So stay tuned for that. I'll be joined by the homies, Mr. Ballgame and Martin. Guys, I know it's been a tumultuous week. I know even without Watson being moved to the Miami Dolphins, there's still a lot of distraction and questions lingering over this team. But, we got to play through this. We got to do what we got to do. And this team, hey, it's time to perform. Nothing left to say. You got to go win some ball games. You got to get it done. I don't know what else to say. Guys, I appreciate each and every one of you for watching. Smash that like button. If you're new here, I want you to make sure and subscribe. I love each and every one of you. If you'd like to become a member of the channel, hit that join button right next to the subscribe button. If you would like to donate to the channel, paypal.me/Phinside. And if you'd like to become a Patreon, patreon.com/Phinside the NFL. And you would get insider info and all that kind of stuff on there. But guys, until later tonight and until I see you next time, you already know what time it is. It's Fins Up all day, every day.